So this is the 10th and final picture of the Oxherding series. It's really interesting. We've been working on this since January, I think, with intermittent interruptions. And the enlightenment experience was only spoken about once in the third picture. Everything else has been about the work entailed in actualizing that experience. So the experience is an instant, not terribly important in one sense. Because all of the work, the next 7 pictures, are about what it takes to turn into Hotai, a poor, dust-covered, totally ordinary monk. So I found a little image of Hotai. He looks like a Japanese, I'll pass him around. He looks like a Japanese Santa Claus with a big bag of things on his back and carrying well, in the picture he's carrying a little water gourd and a bag of his stuff. And he always carried, supposedly always carried candy and toys for the children, and made lots of time to play with the kids in the street. And he hung out with the poorest of the poor. He was not covered in brocade robes with a large entourage of students. He hung out in the fish market and the bars, although he wasn't a drinker particularly. He was a real person. He was not a myth. I'll pass this around. And Ryokan, who was quite an accomplished poet, was very similar to Hotai. He wrote poetry, but he lived in a hut, had no obvious means of support, was supported by the people in the village who fed him, and spent a lot of time playing. A lot of his poems are about playing with children. And he wandered really in that neighborhood, making contact. And contact with somebody that's been through this process is special. It really is special. You want to be close to them. There is that experience of this guy, this old dust-covered monk, has something. He's free in a way. And that freedom has its own allure. It has its own allure. It draws people to it. We get so entangled in stuff. Our ideas, our things, our relationships. We get so entangled. And the freedom is right there, always available to us, but we can't let go. So this whole long journey has been about letting go. Letting go. Letting go. And that, of course, is what draws us to the journey in the beginning, that sense that freedom is possible, that we don't have to be so entangled. So entangled. So let's look at the poem. So you see this guy, this little guy, and this big dirt-covered monk in the picture. And you get a sense of that attraction by the way that little guy is looking at the dust-covered, poor monk. So the preface, the poem that goes with this picture, the preface, is alone behind a brushwood door, not even 1,000 sages are aware. Hiding your light, you shun the tracks of sages of the past. Dangling your gourd, you come into town, thumping your staff. You return to your hut. Visiting bars and fish stalls, you turn all into Buddhas. It's great, great preface. So alone behind a brushwood door. So a brushwood door would be made out of brushwood, picked up, costs nothing, keeps the animals out, maybe, probably not all of them. And he's alone behind this poor exterior. Not even 1,000 sages are aware. So he has no care for sages, no interest in being one of them. He's happy to be alone. It's very hard to be alone, and in many ways that's what brings us into this path, is the fear of loneliness. It's usually not obvious in the beginning, but it becomes obvious as we practice, that there is a part of us that's very lonely. And gradually, as we deepen our practice, that loneliness passes, because we experience ourselves as being one with all beings. And so loneliness itself becomes kind of absurd. How can we be alone in this universe when we are it? Hiding your light, you shun the tracks of sages of the past. Looking totally ordinary, being completely comfortable in the ordinariness of who you are. Nothing special. For so long we wanted to be special. Even when we entered the path, we had a secret desire to be special, to be maybe enlightened and famous and rich, maybe, rich. But by this time, that thought is so far gone. Dangling your gourd. That's all he's got to drink from. A gourd. Not even a cup, a proper cup. Just a dried out gourd. He comes into town. You come into town. So we come into town now, entering the marketplace. Of course, our marketplaces may be different. Our marketplaces may be places of family or work, places of Sangha. There are lots of different marketplaces in the world, and we enter them fully engaged, teaching not so much by giving a talk like this, but just being ourselves, just revealing ourselves, which we do with every word, every motion, every movement. We reveal who we are. People see us. Sometimes people see what we don't even see. We're not aware of it. And then we go home. Nothing special at home. And visiting bars and fish stalls, you turn all into Buddhas. So everybody you touch, everybody you visit, everybody you see, is turned into a Buddha by your presence. And those changes actually are noteworthy. You can see people change. The verse. With bare chest and feet you come to the market. Under dirt and ash, your face breaks into a laugh. With no display of magic powers, you make withered trees burst into flower. So the bare chest and bare feet are perhaps not so appropriate in our climate. So maybe now they are. But soon winter is coming. But nonetheless, we come in very plainly clothed into the marketplace of our work, our family, our friends. And under our ordinary attire, our dirt, I need a new jacket because one of these has a hole in it, and I wore it to a wedding recently that I was giving. I was
Oh, yes.
It had a hole in it. Is it? You see it?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I changed into my robes, not brocade, but my ordinary robes before I actually did the wedding. But this is I was wearing this. Nonetheless, not so enlightened as I was, and a little embarrassed, hoping nobody had noticed it. With no display. Oh wait, your face breaks into a laugh. So Hotai is always shown laughing. He's full of humor. And we laugh easily in the Zen world. It is really something that's really quite wonderful, is the ease with which we laugh. We enjoy each other. We enjoy life. No display of magic powers. You make withered trees burst into flower. So everywhere we go, we create a certain ease, just with our presence. Haven't seen trees burst into flowers at my arrival, but maybe in a few more years of practice. Because this, even though this is the 10th picture, this is an endless, lifelong practice. We never stop practicing. We never feel entirely certain that we're there. And we're happier when we practice. It makes our life more enriched, and we enrich those around us. So don't imagine that even if you are here, that you're done. And then I like the waka. Hands extended, feet planted in the sky. Otoko yama. On a withered branch perches a bird. So hands extended, we are offering, always offering ourselves. The end of the path is one of service. And we begin practicing anew as we begin to serve others. Of course, becoming a teacher is a wonderful way to serve. I hope you all become teachers. And you will teach with your very presence, even if you don't become a formal teacher. Legs planted, feet planted in the sky. So we are, this is really a great image. I had to think about this for a bit. So if the feet are planted in the sky, is the head planted in the earth? And so what a great way to experience, what a great image of the absolute and the relative. We walk the skies, the interconnectedness, the oneness of all beings. That's where we walk. But we don't leave the relative ground, the earth. And all beings are part of who we are. So our head is touching the ground at all times. It's not in the waka. But I'm sure that's what was intended. Otokoyama is a mountain in Japan. On a withered branch perches a bird. Again, a tree planted in the earth, growing old, and the bird ready to fly into the sky. So, that concludes our 10 ox herding pictures. But take away from this series how wonderful it is to be ordinary. And see what it's like for you to begin to recognize, if indeed you have this, your own desire to be special. And to try to let it go, to see it, to notice it. Find it funny. It's very humorous, really, our efforts to be special. And in any case, we are just born and just dying. There isn't anything